All right, everybody. Wednesday, April 2nd. Happy post April Fool's Day. Really excited about this interview. I came across Just Chippys for the first time. Isaiah Ford had put it up on his Instagram story. And, I did some digging and, learned a little bit more about the story. And I'd love to highlight a Hokie entrepreneur's business and a former Hokie athlete and learn a little bit more. So we're welcoming Kendall Feighan, hailing from Pleasant Valley, New York, and played soccer at both Virginia Tech and UGA. Following graduation at Virginia Tech, she worked at the U.S. Department of Justice and has now started a cookie business. Kendall, how are you doing today?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. My boyfriend is even more excited. Huge fan. We're both big VT supporters. And so, yeah, he's just totally geeking out about the fact that Just Chippys is joining Sons of Saturday. But yeah, I will just mention happy late April Fool's Day as well. Yesterday I was making a cucumber cookie and a cheddar cheese cookie for my boyfriend as an April Fool's joke. He caught on very quickly. It was really bad. I do use a lot of fresh fruit in my cookies, but the veggies just wasn't working, so he wasn't buying it.
Shout out to Matthew Thompson. Absolutely love it and love what you have going on. So tell me a little bit about, let's start here. You started at UGA. What led you to Virginia Tech? How did you ultimately end up becoming a Hokie? And you did play soccer at Virginia Tech. So tell us a little bit about that background as well.
I did, yeah. So growing up, obviously soccer was probably like the biggest part of my life. I have an older sister as well. Absolutely incredible soccer player. And she's 1 year older than I am. She committed to Virginia Tech. And I was just in a weird stage of my life where I was like doing everything with her, growing up right alongside of her. I decided, okay, this is my time to really go be my own person and like figure that out. And so I went a different route. I attended the University of Georgia, and wanting to be my own person, I left that soccer part behind me. And so my first semester at UGA, I actually joined ROTC, which is like the Army. Very interested in doing that. And then just totally lost. I decided to go back to the soccer route. Played the spring season or trained with the UGA soccer team during spring. And then the coach there really liked me and was able to connect with Chugger Adair, the coach of Virginia Tech women's soccer, and just really talked how I would be a great fit for the Virginia Tech soccer program. And shortly afterwards, I was on my way to Virginia Tech back with my sister. And yeah, that's how I transitioned from UGA to Georgia. The ROTC Army program just wasn't for me. Missed soccer way too much. And yeah, had a great 3 years on the VT soccer team.
So then I took this from your website. I used to solve crimes. Now I solved the mystery of the perfect cookie. The DOJ to bakery-ing is quite a jump. So walk me through how that ended up happening.
Yeah, so I will mention I really rarely ever stepped on the field at Virginia Tech, so I wasn't necessarily known for maybe being a top performer, but I was the baker of the team, and I think that was enough for my teammates. Locker room was always filled with cookies, cakes, desserts, really anything that you could imagine. But yeah, during my time at VT, I did study criminology and sociology. And I applied for the FBI internship when I was a sophomore. Really hard to get, so something like a 1% acceptance rate. And I was fortunate enough to be able to intern for both my sophomore summer and my junior summer there.
Let's go, Kendall. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was really the internship was a really cool experience. I didn't necessarily think they would have interns doing the type of work that I was doing. First summer, I was with an evidence squad. And it was just looking back on it, like the evidence that we were dealing with, like stuff that you see in like the true crime documentaries. I had my hands on that type of stuff.
Wow.
So that was really cool. And then I also worked in Roanoke over the school year while I was attending Virginia Tech. Accepted a full-time position upon graduating. and found myself always thinking about food while I was at my desk.
I
So
do the same thing.
have always had a passion for it. When I was about 9 years old, I started my own farm stand. So I've always had that entrepreneurship in me. Have been baking for a long time, and then I just decided this is not something I see myself sticking with long term. A lot of great people within the FBI, a lot of great squads to work on, a lot of cool stuff to see, but wasn't for me long term.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hesitant to ask this, but I feel like I got to ask it because everybody's thinking it. What was the conversation like, or when did you decide you were going to go into Just Chippies? And what was that conversation with everybody else? So you go to your parents, you go to your family, you go to your close friends. You're like, look, I know that I'm basically on CSI DC right now, but I am going to go bake cookies. Like, was that a difficult conversation to have, or kind of how did you end up? That's a huge jump to make, and credit to you for doing it.
Yeah.
But how did people kind of react to that?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and I'm just beyond thankful for the support system that I have. Um, my boyfriend was the one who gave me the idea, really, and just said, "I think it's time for you to go for it." Um, my family was not surprised at all either, so they were very, very supportive, very encouraging of it. And how the whole thing actually happened was I left the job with the FBI having really no plan of what was going on. I applied to the Culinary Institute of America for their Masters in Food and Business program because I knew I wanted to do something in food. I've always thought as well, restaurant, something along those lines. Um, and then my boyfriend had accepted a job in New York, so I just moved to New York with really no plan in mind. Doubled up on degrees, and I'm also going to be graduating from the Institute of Culinary Education in May. So afterwards, Just Chippys will be a very full time business. I would say it's still now very much full time business. I'm up at 4 a.m. every morning and to sleep at 11 o'clock. So I always see those TikToks and they're like, I opened my own business because I didn't want to work 9 to 5, and now I'm working 5 to 9. So I'm very much feeling that. But yeah, back to the initial question, the support system that I have is really just amazing. So I'm super super appreciative of that, as well as people. My close family knows they can get free cookies whenever they want. So who wouldn't be excited for that?
Really, really interesting story and extremely unique. Let's talk about the business a little bit. Just Chippies. Where does the name come from? How did you come up with it?
Okay, so Just Chippies, the premise is that every one of our cookies has some type of chip in it. So whether it be like a peanut butter chip, chocolate chip, and I really just wanted to build a brand that was like fun. And I feel
Mhm.
like Just Chippies, like it just makes you like when you say it like that, it's like Just Chippies. It like makes you
Yep.
want to smile. It makes you want to eat cookies. Um, and going on the premise of building a brand that uses locally sourced ingredients, so focusing on sustainability, no preservatives, that type of stuff, and cutting back the sugar content that are in a lot of specialty cookies. So there definitely is a unique twist to it. And yeah, the cookies are freaking good.
so so you've kind of sold me on it already, but my next question, I have the Shark Tank sell. So
Hmm.
pretend maybe Mark Cuban, somebody sitting right here, Mr. Wonderful. If you were to walk into a boardroom right now and you were to
Hmm.
say, "Hey, look, it's Just Chippies." What is your sell? What is your differentiator? What makes you so special? And I will say, number one, the biggest point to me already is the fact that you are all natural. And if you go ahead and if you're courageous enough to walk over to your pantry or your freezer, the numbers associated with the back of an Oreo pack or a Chips Ahoy or anything else are pretty heinous.
Yeah.
And I think the world is finally waking up to that.
Hmm.
And it's much more rewarding when you have something that's either locally made or made by somebody that is an entrepreneur. So just give me your Shark Tank pitch of Just Chippies.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the cookies can pretty much, if you have one bite of one, I think they can pretty much sell themselves. I think along with that, I could sell myself as well. having somebody who's, I would say, has a really Virginia Tech used to. Virginia Tech used the word grit all the time. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that I've implemented in my business so far. But back to the cookies, because they're not buying me, they're buying the cookies. I think something that I've learned in my master's, really, as you were mentioning, is the importance of that label. And a lot of the food that we're consuming is where I see the overlap between the FBI and the food industry. There's a lot of mislabeling ingredients, a lot of chemicals, a lot of stuff in the products that we are consuming, and just making sure that I have a clean label with clean ingredients. Like I said, I love to incorporate fresh fruit into my cookies, which is something you really see nowhere. If you do see the crumble flavor of the week, the blueberry, those are frozen. So just always using fresh fruit. And then I absolutely love the mini cookies that we do. So we offer a large cookies and mini cookies, and they're perfect for like events, catering, orders, gifts, because you can really just pop like all 6 different kinds in, and it's perfect.
Kendall, what would you say? Because I saw on your Instagram the other day, you had to make like 3,000 cookies in I don't remember what it was, 3,000 cookies in 3 days or whatever the number was.
Yeah.
How are you handling this volume, and where are you cooking it? Are you cooking these in your apartment? Like, how are you doing this?
Yeah, so I'm currently registered as a home processor, and so I went through all of those steps because I had been selling my cookies on the side for a long time, but I wanted to make it legal. I'm ready to go full everything into this business. I think it can really work. So right now, yes, I am a home processor. I'm going through the process right now to switch to commercially. But yeah, the orders are definitely coming in, and noticing that I'm going to need to make that change sooner than later. So looking at commercial spaces, rent, storefronts. A storefront will probably be later down the line, just because that is a big initial investment. But the 3,000 cookies, that was definitely that was like a journey in itself.
What was the timeline? How long did you have to do it?
So I was notified 4 days in advance, and then my calculations were a little off. So I was like, oh, we'll start just like 2 days before, because I wanted the cookies to be as fresh as they possibly could be. And yeah, we did have a little mishap when we were making those cookies as well. So some of them did end up for donations at the local food pantries. Wanted to have my best products there, so that was something in itself. But we did it, and I say we as in my 2-man team, baking team right now, my boyfriend and I. So it's pretty awesome that he jumps on board to help with everything as well.
That's awesome. That is unbelievable. What would you say are the most unique ways that you've grown and evolved? So starting Sons of Saturday, there are so many things where it's like, oh, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to have a podcast, and, maybe people will listen to it. And then there are like 50 things that you didn't even think were going to factor into it that come in. So I know you're early in your journey, but are there things that you've really enjoyed, or things that have been a little bit of a painful learning curve? Like what has gone into that?
Oh yeah, plenty of painful learning curves, I would say. But something to note of is when I was in college, or when I was at Virginia Tech, I started my own cookie business. And I do have a TikTok where it shows like my previous website to my new website.
What was it
And
called for anybody that was following
it
along?
was called Just Chippys.
Okay.
But nobody was following along for too long, because I got a call from Insomnia letting me know that they were going to call the health department on me.
Oh,
Which I would have the same reaction as well. But in all fairness, I was not a legally incorporated business.
damn!
So
Big Cookie came after you. They put the hammer down.
Yeah, they came after me very, very quickly. So word spread pretty quickly. And it's ironic because Insomnia, the founder, started out of his dorm room as well.
That is
But
ironic.
yeah, so I would say just seeing the improvement, and I like looked back at the website. I only had screenshots of my old website from the Virginia Tech one. And those cookies, that the pictures that I put on there, I was like, man, I was serving people like really underbaked cookies because like I
Mm-hmm.
love that like soft, chewy cookie.
Yep.
That's really, really thick. So I think I've definitely mastered the baking time where I can make
Mm-hmm.
soft, chewy cookies without like raw, raw cookies going on there. Um, but yeah, the whole thing is just every day I feel like there's something new to learn, whether it's packaging, fixing a recipe, working with someone on one of their orders. There's a, there's a lot that goes into a business that I would have never expected. But I'm excited to be on this journey because ultimately, this is this is what I want to do long term, and I'm really committed to making it work.
Kendall, what's the most rewarding moment that you've had so far?
Oh, that is a really good question. Hmm.
You can go short term. You can go like the biggest win you've had recently, because I know it's been a long journey and there are probably a bunch of things flooding into your mind. But
Okay, no,
um,
that helps with the way you reworded it. I would say I'm really excited to get into like local restaurants and local
mhm,
places near me. And so I have 3 orders, this weekend that I'm starting at, like a bagel place, a deli, and then a flower shop. So I think
that's
that's something
awesome.
that I'm super, super excited about, to be going down many different routes, including like the catering that I've been doing, but also doing wholesale, figuring out how to change pricing and how to work with bigger places like that. So that's been something that I'm very much looking forward to. And I would say the New York Restaurant Show showed me how much of a good product I really do have. And even though
Mhm.
the cookie industry could be deemed as diluted, there's still very, very much a need for the quality type of cookies that I have.
I would say that the podcast space and the Virginia Tech podcast space is very diluted, but it's all about what are your key differentiators. And you said this before. I'm actually going to disagree with you a little bit. People will buy your cookie, but they also are buying the person. Your story and the way that you've done it and the hurdles that you've had to overcome, and kind of your story is so unique that I know you're not asking for advice here, but I would certainly lean into that, because I think that it's super unique and a testament to your grit and your story in general.
Thank you so much. And I will take that. I think that's something as well. I will take any advice I can get. So, but I appreciate you sharing that. And yeah, thank you.
I don't know if you've watched Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but there's
Okay.
this scene where there's this big board and they're pointing at the board, and it all makes sense. This is how we're going to do it. So I'm curious if you have that board in your house or your apartment, and
Mhm.
what your goals are for maybe this year and beyond. Like, you mentioned an insomnia, you mentioned, working at the trade shows, getting into different stores. Like, what is your vision for this business? What do you want this to eventually become? Do you know what you want it to eventually become?
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of ideas in mind. And I think going into the business, my long term goal for this year was maybe come like the holiday season, Thanksgiving, that time to be commercial. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that is something I'm very quickly checking off my list already. So just to continue building on that, I truthfully believe New York City, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. I would absolutely love to have a storefront within New York City. That's a long term goal, but so was the commercial licensing. Um, so we very may be on the way to get there. But I think just continuing to grow and expand within the area I am in now, as well as shipping, is something that I would like to increase my orders on as well.
So, a couple of rapid fire questions for you. Who would you say are your biggest inspirations? They don't have to be in the food industry, but maybe, like, you mentioned TikTok. I'm a big follower of My First Million, different podcasts, hearing on how people have built their businesses. Is there anybody that you've been following along on, or people in your personal life that are inspiring you?
Yeah, I would say I feel like I've mentioned him way too many times, but that's okay because he tunes in, so he's going to be so excited to hear this. Um, I think it's definitely challenging owning a small business and hearing a lot of no's and getting you're going to hear a lot of no's, and so always having that positivity to come back home to with my boyfriend. He inspires me. I know it's so cheesy to say, which is like, but he's really incredible. I love Gordon Ramsay. That's so generic for like a food industry person. Um, but yeah, I read I'm forgetting their name now. But there's one other book that I really, really like, and it's called Stop Thinking. So I would say
Mhm.
they've inspired me really to just making sure I move forward with a positive attitude about something. Because that's another thing that goes along with our brand. I said it, Just Chippies. We want it to be a cookie that makes you smile. And so making sure that I carry that attitude forward with me is something that's important, no matter how many orders I have, no matter how stressed I am as well.
Nancy Collier, I believe, wrote the book that you're
Okay.
referencing. Can't
Thank
Stop
you.
Thinking. Yes.
Thank you.
What is the best flavor?
Okay,
What is the
that's
best selling flavor, and what is your favorite flavor? Let's do it that way.
okay. So Nan's Blueberry Best, which is named after my grandma, Nanny. She, I don't want to say I stole her cookie recipe because that's not how it works. I made a lot of cookies with her growing up. All of the recipes are original, but I did need to give some credit to her because she was always baking with me. And so that's a blueberry cookie. Like I said, fresh blueberries, white chocolate. It's like almost like a blueberry muffin. It's really, really good. So that's probably the best selling one. And then people say you're not supposed to have a favorite. I definitely have a favorite, peanut butter and jelly.
Mhm.
And so my all my cookies have like names. That one's also named after my mom, so it's Mom's PB&J. And it got the name because my mom, I don't think I've ever seen that. She's never cooked anything. So I kind of got my love of cooking for her not cooking anything. I have never even seen her. Like she makes a peanut butter and jelly and she doesn't even cut it. She folds it. Like I don't think I've ever seen her pick up a knife. Um, but anyways, that's really digressing. She's awesome. She's incredible. She fed us a lot of takeout, so it's not like I was unfed. But yeah, the
It's
mom's
funny.
PB&J.
It's funny on that story. I had a very similar upbringing. My mom is amazing at a lot of things, but when she's gonna be mad I shared this. We used to, when my dad would go away on business, we would have cheesy bread sometimes would be what's for dinner, and it was slices of bread with grated cheese on top of it. Pop that in the oven, comes out. It actually was pretty good, but I don't
Okay.
think I ever saw picking up a knife or anything else there either.
No, that is true. Hey, their specialties. I've never made a peanut butter and jelly like my mom has, even though it's not cut.
Mhm.
It's good. But yeah, I don't know if we'll have your. We do have 6 set cookies, and then we offer seasonal flavors as well. I will be sending a box your way. But what's your go-to cookie flavor?
You know, so when I was in college, well, first of all, my mom sent me cookies a lot when I was in college, and I never buy cookies from the store. Like I don't have Oreos in my uh, cabinet or
Hmm.
anything else. But what I do love is there's a place, there's like I think it's called Mountaintop Cookie Shop in Breckenridge, like these one-stop places where they're so good and they're so unique.
Hmm.
So I don't really have a favorite. What I typically do, transparently, is I'll walk in and I'll say, What's the best one? What's your favorite?" And then the
Okay.
person behind the counter will tell me, and I'll try it. I drive my girlfriend crazy whenever we go out to eat. I'll ask the waiter or waitress, "Hey, what should I get to eat?" I kind of come in
And
and
they
just go off of whatever
Yeah.
people are saying. So I do love a good chocolate chip. I do love oh man, what is the one that's like peanut butter, peanut brittle? I can't really remember. Pumpkin cookies are really good.
Mhm.
But excited to try what you have.
Awesome.
Next question: what is your favorite tech memory?
Oh my gosh. Tech was so awesome. It like really University of Georgia was great, but tech really helped me move in the right direction with really every oh my gosh. So many. I got to give it to preseason. That
Okay.
thing was brutal. That was 2
Hmm.
weeks of two-a-days. I don't know why that comes up as a top tech memory, but I think it was just like us all gathered together in pain, but just knowing we were going to get through it. I would love to say the fitness tests that we did, but definitely not those. And also, I did attend Virginia Tech with my sister,
That is
um,
cool.
built-in best friend, which I wouldn't
Mhm.
trade it for the world. So we did so much together, which was really awesome. And
You know, what's really unique about athletes specifically, I remember this. We were in the middle of fall camp at Virginia Tech, and the offensive line coach at the time, Coach Searles, he was like, when you look back on college, it was like an awful practice. It was, 8 o'clock at night, people are falling asleep. It's the dog days of summer. And he was like, when you look back at your career and you look back at like everything that happened at Virginia Tech, one of the most profound memories you will have are this. And in the moment, you're like, absolutely not. I need to go to like the Men in Black movie and get deneuralized from remembering this. But it truly is. You think back at like the relationships you had, bonding together to get through it, how hard it was. And honestly, not in like a braggadocious way, but sort of in a braggadocious way, saying, I was able to accomplish that. Like, I'm never going to do
yeah.
something physically as hard as that.
Mhm.
So I totally resonate with that.
Yeah, no, it definitely I 100% hear what you're saying, and in the moment it's like, "Oh my god, I'm not gonna be here tomorrow, like, there's no way,"
Mm-hmm.
but then there you are doing it over and over again. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So, Kendall, where can we order? Where are people allowed to order? Tell us a little bit about how this entire process works.
Yeah, definitely. So I did mention that I am switching from a home processing to a commercial
Mm-hmm.
location. So if you're following along on social media, you will definitely see updates as to when that license has been approved. Right now, I'm legally only able to sell within New York State. But as soon as I get that commercial license, shipping will be available nationwide. So I'm super, super excited about that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Shipping, pickup, delivery, and then I'm working on catering events, doing some upcoming things in the city, markets, trying to figure out how I'm going to be able to do all of them at once. But cookies will be available very soon nationwide.
So I have a question and then I have a declaration. Which one would you
Okay.
like first?
Oh, we'll take the question first.
My first question is, can we work together on a Virginia Tech cookie? Can we get like a Sons of Chippies or a Chippies of Saturday cookie? Can we work something out? Maybe put our brains together and come up with a flavor, maybe some maroon and orange mixed in there.
Oh, we can 100% do that. That's one of my favorite parts, I would say, about this whole business is I love creating the new flavors. So
Mhm.
you have me on board 100% for that, and I would love to do something VT.
Okay. Sounds great. And then my declaration, I'm actually going to separate you from this because I don't want to get you in any trouble, but it's fine if I get in trouble. Sons of Saturday is officially declaring war on insomnia cookies. We are
Okay.
all in on Just Chippies. We will be promoting Just Chippies. We are excited to see a Hokie grow. And in all seriousness, it is cool to see a story. And in one way, you could look at the insomnia story as who knows, maybe one day you're going to be the one in all of these different colleges pumping out those cookies. But I know you're not going to be coming and knocking on the next Kendall's door and telling him to shut down. So,
Yes.
Kendall, I'm extremely inspired by your story. I am so glad that we connected and looking forward to seeing what's next for you. You're going to kill it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to speak with you all and looking forward to that VT cookie.
That's right. Take care, Kendall.
Thanks so much.